Oh. Narayana. The cows turned to grass, but were vigilant enough to turn back to Bhagwan. The gopas turned to the cows, yet were vigilant enough to turn back to Bhagwan. The gopis turned to themselves, yet were vigilant enough to turn back to Bhagwan. We are all engaged in swadhyaya. Adhyaya means a chapter or a study. Swa means ourselves. How are we engaged in this? We keep turning here and there towards pleasures and possession and position. But we are vigilant enough to turn back to Bhagwan, who is within us, who is us. And we've been doing this for 99 classes, 99 hours. We're about to reach that shata, that century, which is an awesome experience. Coming back to our last class, Akrura knows who Bhagwan is, which is why he has no fear. He has no fear of bringing Bhagwan to Mathura, and whatever schemes are going to happen, Bhagwan will be able to last those schemes, correct those schemes. Changing the wording, when you know Abhayankara, Abhayankara means the one who causes fearlessness, then you have no bhaya. You have no fear. So this is a gauge for us. If there is fear today and tomorrow, it's because we don't know Abhayankara. But if there's less fear today, tomorrow, if we're becoming fearless, that shows that we know Bhagwan. The name Akrura is special because this is also one of the names of Bhagwan Narayana in Vishnu Sahasranama. Akruraf Peshalo Daksho. Everyone remembers that? And our last scene was with the gopis looking on at Bhagwan as he's looking back, and then the flag of the chariot drifts into the horizon and they can't see Bhagwan anymore. The symbolism of this is Dvaita is most saddening. Wherever there is separation, that is most sad, is most breaking. Devi Yashoda, she doesn't speak anymore. Tastata tapyatir viksha swaprasthane yaduttamaha santvayamasa sapremaihi ayasya iti dautyakaihi. Bhagwan Krishna shares with those gopis in their heart, I will come back. Before we continue with new chapters and new verses, we're about to reach our 100th class together. How am I sharing Srimad Bhagavata? I want there to be transparency with you and I. I read every shloka of Bhagavatam before I speak to you. In addition to this, I read a bhashya on Bhagavatam too. The shlokas are Swami Tapasyananda's, the bhashyas is Swami Tejomayananda's. Then I also review my notes from 2013 and 2005. I've been part of a Bhagavata Sapta twice, in 2013 and 2005. After studying all of this, I identify which verses, which sections are meditation worthy, are important, and are context based. This is how I organize my study and notes. Meditation, important, context. And I identify which verse would be best for me and for you. Sometimes it's more meditation oriented, sometimes it's more importance oriented. And then I summarize the rest and present it through these two verses. And the reason I'm doing this, over the last 99 classes, we have studied more than 200 verses. And if I asked any of you, chant one of them for me. It's not possible. It's not possible to know all 200. What is important is the Vedanta part. For you to feel that which is meditation oriented. When I study this, meditation means I have to think about this 3 times. If it's important, I have to think about it twice. If it's context-based, only once. Just to give you an example of that, some of the context is the details of how Bhagavan destroys the asuras. That's neither important, and I shouldn't be meditating upon it. So I read it once and it's complete. So this is how our course is flowing. This is not a Bhagavata Saptaha. We've been together for more than 2.5 years, not 1 week. We are not reading every verse because this is not a musical class. We are focusing on the Vedanta. I hope this resonates with you. I find this to be the most practical way to experience Bhagavata in a non-diluted way. If someone gets too high a dose of whatever medicine, it is harmful. We have to have the right dose that is healthy for us. The 10th skanda, the 41st adhyaya, the 51st shloka, 10, 41, 51. This is Rishi Shuka speaking to Raja Parikshita about what Akrura says to Bhagavan Krishna. Sopi vrave lachalam bhaktim tasminneva kilatmani tad bhakteshu cha sauhardam bhuteshu cha dayam param. This is Akrura sharing with Bhagavan Krishna what he wants, what his prayer is. And he shares, I want a bhakti that is unmoving. I want to know you who are within all. I want to be a friend to all, and I want to have the highest compassion. Why is Akrura sharing this? Okay, so this is a prayer, and I'll revisit this. What has happened? When Bhagavan Krishna and Shri Balarama, who are in Akrura's chariot, in their cart, when they leave Vrindavana, they stop at Kalandi. Kalandi is the river Yamuna. And Akrura senses that Bhagavan Krishna and Sri Balarama are going to miss her. Think about a city that you grew up in, and then you had to leave that place. You would miss where you would go for coffee, where you would go for a hike, your school. And so he stops and says, go and enjoy. And he lets them enjoy by themselves. Imagine these two young boys who are around 10 years old, just playing in this river one final time. And when they're finished, they come back to that cart. And then Akrura goes. And he's going to freshen up. He's older. He wants to drink. And he holds his breath and goes underwater. And what does he see? There's Bhagavan Krishna and Sri Balarama in the water. So he quickly comes out and he looks at that ox cart, that chariot, and they're there. And they're just playing. So he does it again. This time, he sees the entire Vishwa. He sees the whole multiverse all revolving and contained within Bhagavan Krishna. And this entire chapter is focused on what Akrura sees in Bhagavan Krishna. This is chapter 40. And some of the highlights that he shares. He says, you are the pure subject. And that's such a Vedantic statement. You are the pure subject, which means there are no objects. There is only Advaita. He says to Bhagavan Krishna, the Bhagavan Krishna in the water, you are Bhagavan Kalki, the one who will come and correct barbaric rulers. He shares, it is only through your kripa that one can be in satsanga and become a bhakta. So all of chapter 40 is this hymn, this stuti to Bhagavan Krishna, all happening underwater. And I love that detail, that stuti can happen anywhere. When you're on a plane, when you're scuba diving, everywhere there should be stuti. After he completes this stuti, he comes back to the chariot. And Bhagavan Krishna has this huge smile on his face. And he says, Tama prichat Hrishikeshaha Kim te drishtam iva adbhutam? He asks his uncle, what did you see in the water? It seems like you've just seen that which is adbhuta, that which is amazing. Just the playfulness of Bhagavan Krishna, you know, that sheer sarcasm and all that his uncle did was smile because they know each other. So this all happens. And then they finally arrive at Mathura. It has only taken us more than 2.5 years to finally arrive at Mathura. And Akrura wants to take Bhagavan Krishna and Sri Balarama to his home in the city. And Bhagavan Krishna says, no, I will come another time. You leave us here and you go home. And Akrura asks, but why? Bhagavan Krishna says, myself and Sri Balarama and all of our friends, we want to go sightseeing. It's true, correct? They were born in the village. And now they want to go sightseeing. This is someone who lives in a small city and then they go to Mumbai or to Delhi. So we want to go sightseeing. So we're all in check. Bhagavan Krishna was born in Mathura, but he was raised in Gokula. Then he continued to Vrindavana. And now he's full circle back in Mathura. when they start moving through this city, the Devis in Mathura, news comes to them that Bhagavan Krishna is in Mathura. And they rush from inside their homes to outside of their homes, their porches, their balconies, their rooftops. They've rushed there. And there's a lot of details about how disheveled they are. They've put their toe ring in their nose and only half of their hair is braided. And see, that's the context I'm telling you about. Do you want me to read every shloka about how their kajal is not applied properly? It's just how much they loved Bhagavan that there was no waiting. And then they got to see him. And until then, they only had engaged in Shravana of Bhagavan, who he is and what he used to do. And now they got to experience him with their eyes. And they just kept looking and looking and looking at him. Like the phala of their sadhana was now complete. What is the phala of sadhana? It is sadhya. It is the ends. It is enlightenment. And so what did they do? They just threw flowers at Bhagavan. And I love visualizing this, that Bhagavan is just walking with this huge smile, as if he doesn't know this place and these people, and they're all just throwing flowers because what else can they do? What else is there to do? And the rishis in the community, they all ran to Bhagavan Krishna with Purna Kumbhas. So perpetual chanting and stopping, touch Purna Kumbha, touch Purna Kumbha, touch Purna Kumbha. Too much love that is experienced here. As they're going through the city, Bhagavan observes there is a washerman there. And he is carrying what looks like lovely clothing. Shiny, smells fragrant. And Bhagavan asks this washerman, can we have some of these clothes? We are village people and we're coming to the city because we've been invited. And this washerman is most mean to Bhagavan, saying you are uncultured, you don't deserve these clothes. So what did Bhagavan do? He took a towel from that washerman and hit him so hard with it that that washerman died. And it sounds quite awful, but remember, that means moksha. If Bhagavan right now is going to hit me with a towel, I'll lie down. You can hit me all you want. And the connection here is, you're all familiar with who this washerman is from the Ramayana. It's the same washerman who apparently gossiped about Bhagavan Krishna's Devi. At that time, he had to support the citizens. He was the Raja. Now he could really show what he was feeling. And so he snapped him with his towel, but he's so strong that he was just annihilated. Later on, he comes to meet a weaver. They're just walking. All of these shops are there. And this weaver who loves Bhagavan says, you can take these clothes from the washerman, but I'm an excellent weaver and I can make clothes that will fit you. See, these clothes are kamsas. He's like an ogre. If you can think of the ogre in Shrek, that's Kamsa. And Bhagavan Krishna is this elegant young man. So this weaver makes these finely knit clothes for Bhagavan. How does Bhagavan pay him back? He says, Sarupya. Sarupya means go to Vaikunta. You live there with me. What an awesome barter system. That's it, enlightenment for you too. And then there's a garland maker. And this garland maker's name is Sudama. It is not the Sudama that we tend to know. That will come later. And this garland maker, again, loves Bhagwan and is wanting to give Bhagwan a garland and does. And the prayer I just read to you, this is Akrura's prayer and this garland maker's prayer too. The garland maker shares, I read it to you in a simple way. Here it is in detail. Bhagwan said, "What boon do you want?" And the garland maker, that is Sudama, says, he chose as boons firm and unflinching devotion to that all-inclusive being, friendship towards all of the Lord's devotees, and kindness to all creatures. What this shows for us, if you choose peace, what will come with it? Prosperity. They granted him those boons, besides others like progressive prosperity to his family, strength, longevity, fame, and handsomeness. Handsomeness. I like that prayer. The next time you pray, don't pray for Sri Devi, pray for Bhagavan Krishna. If Bhagavan Krishna is coming, who else inevitably is coming? Sri Devi. I wanted to study one more verse, and we won't get into it into detail. I'll just introduce it because I am feeling like I want to. As they continue, they meet a Devi whose name is Trivakra. Trivakra. She was a beautiful Devi, but she had 3 curves in her body. Ashtavakra, the one with 8 curves. Trivakra, the one with 3 curves. In English, she's a hunchback. Her body is curving like this. And she too loved Bhagwan. And so what did Bhagwan do? He stepped on her feet, took 2 of her fingers, and lifted up her chin and straightened her out. The English says he gave her a facelift. What a natural facelift, no? And who is Trivakra? Manthara from the Ramayana. Remember Manthara? We always think of mantra in the negative, but because of Manthara, so much of Bhagwan's work was facilitated. He got to go to the jungle. He got to defeat Ravana. So he wanted to bless Manthara, but he couldn't do it as Bhagwan Rama. So he's blessing her as Bhagwan Krishna. And what this also shows for us, that if we're like the washerman, or we're like Manthara, we're going to be born again. There's no escaping our wrong thinking and wrong acting. Live rightly now, or you'll come back again and again and again. Next week, we'll start into chapter 42, and I'll explain more about this Devi, and we'll get into some wrestling. The weather is better. People are going outside. Bhagwan is going to go outside too. And he's going to wrestle with a bow, wrestle with an elephant, wrestle with Mushtika and Chanura. And you can hear the sound of them slapping their chests and their thighs. So we'll enjoy next week with all of that. Oh.